Good evening. I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Town of Thompson Planning and Zoning Commission on Monday, July 22nd, 2024, 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall and on Zoom. A reminder to all present that under citizens' comments and during our public hearings, please state your name and address before you speak. Address your comments to the chair in a civil, respectful manner and limit your speaking time to 3 minutes unless otherwise directed by the chair. Now I ask everyone to stand there for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now call the roll.
John B. Lanky present.
Ryan Canoyer present.
Randy Blackmore.
Greg Williams.
James Dawson.
Russell Robin.
Ms. Orr
Guys, Orlovac.
and Joseph Purdy Brown. We will seat Ms. Orr for Mr. Santos. Item 4. Application 24-11. We'll see Mr. Poplawski for Mr. Crowell.
Lincoln.
Application 24-11, the public hearing is closed. We will discuss possible action under item 7. Application 24-16, applicant Sanat Patel, property owner of 423 Passay Road, map 79, block 47, lot 10, zone RRAD, 18.6 acres, representing Daya Development, requesting a 4-lot subdivision according to the subdivision regulations, Article 3, Section A1-3. For the applicant.
Good evening, I'm Janet Blanchett from Dane Civil Engineers.
You have them to.
Probably. Not probably, I definitely do.
The application is for four lot subdivision on Passay Road. The owner is with me this evening. I mean, his corporation is Daha Development for the purpose of this project, but it's Mr. Sanat Patel. You might remember him from he's the owner of Westerling Drive. He's also in attendance this evening. The property is located in between Stowicki Road and Passay Road. It actually has frontage on both roads. The property address is 423 Passay Road. Basically, by your regulations, subdivisions of 4 or more lots require a public hearing and open space. So that's one of the reasons why we're having a public hearing on the project. This survey sheet shows the entire property. You can see Passay Road at the bottom and Stowicki Road at the top. One thing I would like to draw your attention to is this property is like 19 acres, but all of the development is in this oval in front of Passay Road. The rest of the property is go back 2/3 and along Stout Brook. There's no proposed construction in those areas. This project has drainage pipes that lead from it across Passay Road. There's one from Stowicki Road onto the site. So I went over this project with the Public Works Director, Joe Tasek, And, as part of this project, we'll be providing the town with drainage easements at each of those locations, because right now, currently the town has pipes, but no drainage easements, so that's always helpful for future work to be able to provide the town with those easements. Now, 3 of them aren't even near the work area, one of them is, and so we're gonna propose some improvements to that culvert. And when I flip the sheet over to the site development plan, we can go over that in more detail. One thing I neglected to mention is the rural residential agricultural district. This lot, with the subdivision lot line, it's this 10-acre lot. This, so many of you may have been familiar with, had a very old house and an old barn. You could see them from the road. And those have since, that was like 1750 era, and they were completely dilapidated at the time that Mr. Patel purchased the property. So those have since been removed. But basically the existing driveway that used to lead to the house and barn would be utilized. So that's lot 1 is 10 acres, proposed lot 2, 3 acres, proposed lot 3, 2.6 acres, proposed lot 4, 3.1 acres. So they're reasonably sized lots. We will be, there's going to be 2 proposed driveways on Passay Road. Lots 2 and 3 will share a driveway. It's a little bit steep there. And so why it reduces disturbance in impervious area instead of having 2 paved 12-foot wide driveways right next to each other. We'll just run the 116-foot driveway up the center of the property line, and then they branch off to the 2 individual houses. So that's shown a little more clearly on the next sheet. I'll flip to the site development sheet, and it's just a blow up. So you won't see the whole property. Basically, it's a blow up of the area. Development. There's a blow up of the lot. You can see 4 proposed houses. We did obtain the Johnson and the Wetlands Commission approval, as well as the Northeast District Department of Health approval for the septic system. This is the shared driveway that served lot 2 and 3. And at the frontage, the existing 15-inch culvert is old. The head wall is tipped over. And it's actually one of those really dangerous situations where there's a hole right at the edge of the pavement because the culvert isn't really long enough. So what I went over with Joe is that, to extend that culvert further into the property and construct a little bit of a sediment forebay at the inlet end so that the road sand and salt that comes off of Passay Road will have a place to settle out before it moves across the road to the wetland associated with Stout Brook. So Joe has reviewed that proposal and the design and found it to be acceptable. One thing I should have mentioned on, I'm going to flip back to the sheet. As you're aware, we have new staff in the Wetlands and Conservation Office. So I submitted this project in May to the Conservation Commission with a proposal for open space in the form of a conservation easement along the Stout Brook, and that was what was shown in green. But just last week, with the staff becoming, online and everything, the Conservation Commission met, and they have a recommendation to your commission that this project utilize fee in lieu of open space to satisfy the open space requirements. And as you know, that's your call as the Planning and Zoning Commission. So I can remove that off. Let's see what else. Left. Long agenda. I don't want to take too much of your time. Well, the fee in lieu of, the way it works, is supposed to be 10% of the fair market value prior to development. I checked with the assessor today, and the fair market value of this property is $137,000, as per the assessor's office. And so 10% of that would be $13,700. And so something like that would be the amount that before the Mylars are filed, the applicant would produce a check, and that would be to the town to go into the town's open space acquisition fund before the milers would be bought. It's been a long time since I've been involved in a fee in lieu of subdivision. I know that you can, sometimes there's an appraiser who's mutually acceptable to the town and the developer. So I don't know whether, and that's for you to discuss if you want to follow the procedure or just have what the assessor has for fair market value. That's something you can discuss. And I think that's, so there's no work whatsoever here as to what you wrote. It's, once you get halfway up into the lot, it becomes very steep, and the elevation difference would not allow any kind of driveways or development off of Stewart.
Do you, I mean, what was the Conservation Commission's reasoning for suggesting?
I honestly don't know. I just. Maybe they feel like the wetlands along the brook will protect it just as well as a conservation easement because. It's mostly wetlands associated with the Stout Brook.
Cindy, do you have any insight into that?
No, did you recommend the,
I just thought that they had, you know,
no, I did go forward,
yeah, it just says that they voted to recommend.
Yeah.
and-
Mr. Chairman, I did actually speak to Margaret the day after the meeting, and she did suggest that the Conservation Commission thought that the wetlands were essentially protective open space enough, and there aren't that many opportunities for a fee in lieu to be suggested. So that was their recommendation.
Mr. Williams?
I got a question about, whoops, I'm sorry. On that lot, even though there is some wetlands, is there still room if you kept that property further on down the road for further development?
I don't believe so because of the amount of wetlands. There's a lot of frontage, but basically, pretty much, this is the Sally Brook that goes right through the middle of it. And so by the time you put 100 in this property, it's only this deep.
Yes, I didn't know on the other piece where it goes in deep and
And here,
don't drop your fingers that with the green spot, yeah, right there.
no, this is also a wetlands.
Yeah, I see it on the map, but I didn't know if there was enough on the sides.
If there would, we would have had a 5 lot.
I don't want to say, yeah, to take in lieu of, take 10,000 and then turn around and make another 100, 200,000 off of another lot.
This is a 100-foot upland review area.
Mhm.
So in my opinion, there's not enough room for another lot.
Any other questions from the commission? Mr. Hill?
What's any idea, I know this is conceptual, any idea what type of construction is gonna be single story?
It just kind of almost like a single story.
Single story, residential?
Mr. Popowski?
So Jen, I got a few things. In your proposed drainage improvements, specifically, which one are you calling out that the owner is going to do a betterment on for the town?
This,
So it'd be that one?
yes, the other 3 places where there's town drainage really aren't near the developed area, so there's no impact on them.
Okay, all right. So I think just something to think about, we'll want Joe Tasek involved with that for the inspection of that improvement on the town property, just so we're aware. So my question is kind of a long raise, maybe a little bit deeper. I mean, if we take in lieu of, right, that increases that lot to over 10 acres. So up off of Stewicki, is there a potential to subdivide that, to do a split up off Stewicki for that one lot, knowing that now it's that much bigger?
I don't think so because of the slope, it's Stewicki, but the 10 acres included the conservation easement. So it wasn't, so the lot doesn't get bigger even if there's no conservation.
So 9.76 acres
Yes.
includes the,
That includes the conservation.
That was with conservation.
Correct. This whole configuration in orange is the
It's a lot.
9.55 acres.
It just looks to me like that one right there, and I know that that's not your intention, but when you sell it and you're not the owner any longer, it looks like somebody could squeeze a 3.5, 3 acre lot up top off of Stewicki on that, to Ray's point.
Right.
It looks close. It looks close. And I mean, I know there's a hill. I know there's a, actually it'd be a beautiful view if you cut the trees down and put a driveway and you could overlook the whole valley from right there. So I think that's something we can, I don't know if we can technically limit that to a one house lot and not allow a subdivide if it were a potential or not, but I think we should consider that as well.
One, the fee in lieu of is of the undeveloped land, so you wouldn't get more money no matter how many lots. If you know what I mean, it's the fair market value of unsubdivided land. So if he had 10 lots, it would still be 10% of the fair market value, 137,000. You don't.
No, I understand that. I just, it's more of, if there's 3 acres up top, that lot number 1 could be subdivided, right?
It's a 40,000 square foot zone, so theoretically you could say that this could be split in half and there could be 4 lots.
And Dave, I don't think, and correct me if I'm wrong, keeping the conservation easement or the fees in lieu of would change that, would it?
No,
It's still the same property.
no, yeah, no, and she cleared that up, that it, that whole lot is 9 whatever it is, 9.555 acres.
But isn't it by Stewicki Road, I mean, the back there, isn't that all wetlands? There's a pond up there.
There's wetlands in the middle, it's actually really flat and beautiful land that will walk that site. Right up to Stewicki is almost like a.
Yeah, it's a good 80 to 100 feet from,
Yes.
yeah, it's 100 feet off.
No,
That's a lot of excavation.
The page 3, James, I think.
They don't show the contour going all the way up to Stewicki Road, it's this street because. So these are 5-foot contours. So every 40 feet, it's going up like 10 feet, it's like.
Yes,
That's a big
I think it was, I added, it was like 83 or 84 feet from the bottom all the way up to the top of grade, so it's beautiful up top, but.
Mr. Williams.
Mr. Benecki's sitting over here and it looks like I'm not sure, have you ever seen these maps?
I'm taking a look at them now, yes.
Yeah, and
Okay.
we'll turn to make sure that everyone has a chance to speak.
That's all I have, Joe, thank you.
Anything else from the commission at this time? Now, certainly if there's any questions or commentary from the public, something like that. And just if you could approach the microphone and then just your name and address for the record.
My name is Tina Blanchard. I live at 353 Passay Road here in town, and I have some questions. The number 1 question I have is there going to be any blasting? Because it's all ledge there.
Ms. Blanchard, will there be blasting?
We did not have ledge in the test pits near Passay Road. There's absolutely open ledge on the slope going up to Stewicki Road. But there was no ledge in our test pits for the septic systems for the Department of Health. We did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and ledge was not an issue there.
And that's including where the old barn and the old house used to stand.
I mean, it's closer to the road than this is where the house was.
Yeah.
Where the barn was.
That's where the barn. Okay, all right, so that takes care of that question. So there will be no blasting.
Does not appear. So based on the soil tests that were done.
Okay.
Test pits.
So that takes care of part 2 of question 1. Now, will the developer notify the contractors that the speed limit on Passay Road is 25 miles an hour? Because we have school buses going up and down that road, and every day at any given point, we've got construction trucks, we have dump trucks, we have passenger cars going 40, 45 miles an hour. And we have school buses that come and pick up kids, we've got kids on the road. And one of these days, and people walking their dogs or just walking in general, one of these days, there's going to be a vehicle come around one of those bends in the road. And they're going to hit someone. So that's another concern, because that road can be narrow at points. And I've seen trucks going, cars going up and down 40, 45, 50 miles an hour.
Well, thank you, Ms. Mitchell.
Mhm.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? So I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
The screen share.
Yeah, it's. Yeah, nobody's got a hand up.
We've got anyone in there. Thank you. Anything else from the commission?
I just, Joe, Janet, you said that, the assessor had the fair market is 130,
137,
and that was for the whole site,
yes,
for the whole site. Okay,
I have a copy, I can submit it to this year.
oh, no, I just, no, I'm good, just, I didn't write down what you said, sorry.
Seeing and hearing no other comments. Ms. Williams?
I'd like to make a motion that we close, application 2460,
The public hearing.
public hearing.
I'll second it.
Motion made by Mr. Williams, seconded by Ms. Salty to close public hearing for application 2416. Any discussion on the motion to close? Hearing none, a yes will close the public hearing, and a no will keep it open. Mr. Lanky.
John D. Lenky, yes.
Brian Canoyer, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Jane Salsa, yes.
Those are wrong, yes. Calvin Hill, yes.
Mazor?
Kaiser Levesque, yes.
Joseph Curdy Brown. Yes.
Should we sound?
Yeah, me too.
Too many papers when I lost my agenda, I'm sorry. Item. Continuing, public hearing, application 24-17, applicant Nance LLC. Property owner of 96 Main Street, map 169, block 88, lot 53, zone DMRD, request multi-family dwelling of 3 or more units according to zoning regulations, Article 12, 275, 12.2, number 29. Okay, public hearing is now open for the applicants.
The applicant granted Blanchett and Dave, these are all engineers. Just writing that for calendar, everybody's familiar with the location of, it's right across, right next to Blackwater Brook and the Juniper Pond, and diagonally across it from. And this is an existing 0.26 acre public school. That formerly had a relatively large building on it. Some of the members here probably know what it was. It was into the 80s, if you look at the aerial.
I know, I couldn't imagine fitting anything on that lot, but.
Yeah.
That's very smooth. I looked at it this morning.
It was actually a L-shaped lot, this direction, but it was like the mass of it was as big as the, juice adjacent lot.
Yeah.
And also, I forgot to mention that, the man at LLC is also Mr. Neil Patel, who is our mayor, and he's here in the audience to see him. So the site location for more honed-in orientation, the library is here, and this is when you drive around the outside of the library, and there's a couple of parking spaces. That's those. Diagonally across the street is that kind of nice crushed stone driveway. The garage is in the back. There's a single family house here, and there's the blue house. I know it used to be a dance studio, and that one's residential now, there's a pool out there. So that's basically the area, and what he would like to do is build an apartment building that is 3 stories. There would be 2 apartments on each story, so everybody would own like half of the building with windows on 3 sides. And I do have an architectural plan I can show you. The rear of it orientation was chosen so that the rear of it, has a view of the pond. And this is obviously connected to town water and sewer. We have the wetlands approval for the brook in the rear. And 10 parking spaces are proposed. Basically, there's 10 bedrooms proposed in this project, 2 one-bedroom apartments and 4 two-bedroom apartments. So there's 10 spaces, 8 in a lot out front, which we're proposing to have kind of a similar finish of the crushed stone to keep it pervious with the parking lot diagonally across the street. And then 2 parallel parking spaces. The building will be paved in the handicap piece. Spot would be paved. For roof drainage, we have a fire retention area in the side yard that the roof leaders would feed into for infiltration. Actually kind of getting back to the parking in the downtown mill rehabilitation district, a parking plan is to be submitted because the parking regulations are flexible, so you choose how many parking spaces you need. And so I did submit a report regarding that, and we believe the 10 spaces are adequate. And more importantly, if you did have a codified in your zoning regulations, the state actually would allow you to request this many spaces because they're trying to promote affordable housing. And also in this zone, designated alternate parking spots include the library. And you can see that these not often used spaces right across the street will be excellent for an additional parking for guests. Something they're very close, you just cross the street. Right there.
So you're saying that those 3 lots are on the library side, correct?
Yes, there's more than 3 that would go off.
Yes, I understand. Okay.
But just in this zone in general, if you have a site that was like really maxed out and you needed to provide extra parking, this is the library is one of the chosen places in your zoning regulations for that. I don't believe it's needed because we have 10 spaces on site. If it is for guests.
Has that been cleared with the library itself?
It's town of Thompson property, so the town designated that to be parking in this zone. So, we didn't specifically check it on. The current, it shows the proposed look and architecture of the building that is considering. Like I say, it's each, so that the area would have half of there, 3 on this side, 3 on that side, with a center corridor. These balconies, this is kind of the back of the building that would face out to the pond. And it's a modern industrial work, but it's kind of reminiscent of stone mills and work with the rectangular shape.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
Is it hard to answer to turn my around?
Yeah, absolutely.
Public to see, because I couldn't print that picture out today.
I have some
Thank you.
handouts that I have some copies too. If anybody would like to have an 8.5 by 11, I have a couple, but Neil just shot that from his architect literally on the weekend, so. Okay.
That was the record, Jen.
There's several copies. I mean, it is not necessarily locked into this, but he wanted to show you like. For everybody.
We can share. Thank you.
So this. This is a perfect example of infill development in the downtown mill rehabilitation district, the language in your regulation. This is almost a picture perfect fit for the regulations of this zone. It's taking a lot it's close to the schools, within walking distance of everything. It used to be developed, it has water and sewer, and so bringing it up and developing it to its a more beneficial use. And so that makes it consistent with the plan of conservation and development as well as your zoning regulations. And this is just to be market rate housing. It's not designated for seniors or anything like that.
Ms. Thompson.
How large are the apartments gonna be?
Between 700 square feet.
Sorry?
700 to about 800 square.
Okay.
Any other questions? Oh, sorry, Ms. Blanchard, continue.
I'll wait till she's done, but
Yeah,
I
that's
when she.
Yeah, so basically, in your regulations, it says the purpose of the downtown mill rehabilitation district is to encourage adaptive reuse, redevelopment, and reinvestment in the former industrial center of Thompson as a means of achieving balanced growth and efficient land use. And the plan of conservation and development basically calls for an increase in missing middle housing so that single adults, empty nesters can have a nice place to live in the community that is less costly than single family houses, which all know the taxes and costs are going off the roof. It's residential in a mixed use zone. There are many buildings of this scale, size, shape, all up and down Main Street. It should fit in very well with the neighborhood. And I know you have a long agenda, so I will.
Mr. Papaski and then Ms. Thompson.
Hi, Jane, I'll let you go first.
To know the cost of the apartments.
In terms of like a rent,
Yeah.
so I guess, the construction cost will vary that.
Yeah.
But generally between 1,200 to 1,400.
Thank you.
Mr. Papaski.
Janet, just a couple logistical questions. I know Cindy has a question about the lighting, which I had the same question. My biggest thing is the location of that dumpster where it's screened in. It's like what, 12 feet off of that property line. So I'm just concerned is there. With that and snow removal, I mean, that parking lot is just jammed. So I don't know if there's any kind of consideration to moving that dumpster, or just that it's so close to that house. And yeah, I know you don't have a big lot there, so I just don't know if you looked at any alternative to that, just being, it's so close to that property line in that existing house.
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, I could potentially see anywhere it's almost gonna be a close out.
I know.
Whether you think on this side.
That's what I was almost thinking about, that rabbit cage or whatever that.
Right,
Yeah, and because I think it says, I mean, what is it, like a violation of gravel paving area that's an encroachment or something onto the property line?
correct.
I'm just thinking aesthetically, if we could move that out of that location, and I know Alvin's a big snowstorm guy, but be able to like push snow and there's just nowhere to put it, and you are so close to that intersection right there that it could be considered dangerous almost with what you have there. So, if you could consider that, maybe moving that dumpster over a little bit and utilize that for some sort of a snow storage shelf or something.
Yeah.
But beyond that, that's all I looked at. I had concerns.
Any other questions? Yeah, go ahead, Cindy.
So I had, emailed Janet on Thursday and, the email went up back with, first question was looking for the surface, it was 28%.
Okay.
In the area, and there's no freestanding lights or proposed, but she's sure the building will have, building mounted lights near the entry door. Main Street has sufficient lighting for the parking lot.
Oh, I had one more.
Thank you, Cindy. Yeah, I got
There.
it, and then Dave.
I just got them back decks.
Yeah.
That overlooking the people's swimming pool that's in the back there.
The swimming pool I was referring to for, the blue house is about here, so I'm taking angles out.
Yep.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Mr. Papaski.
This is more for Tara. Tara, that So we have a grant coming up for Main Street on that area, right?
We have a grant that's submitted,
Yeah,
which I am highly optimistic will be awarded, but I cannot say with certainty that we would be awarded.
you know, I think that there's a need for a sidewalk, especially with this proposal, with the amount of units over there. And not to be incurred by the owner, but I think that especially this project coming down, and anyone coming down School Street would benefit from a sidewalk that goes up past this proposed building, up to the current building that could get to the crosswalk to go to to the library.
I'm sorry, Dave, I'm totally confused now. You're suggesting a new sidewalk on School Street, or you're suggesting repaired sidewalks on Main Street?
Main Street.
Okay, that is part of the grant
It
that I've
is,
submitted,
okay.
yes.
Okay.
Yes,
I
but
think that's a great candidate.
until that's awarded, we don't know,
Yeah.
but we have that already costed out and everything.
Yeah,
And actually, Tara did ask if Neil would write a letter of support for the grant as somebody who is interested in improving the area, and he did that. in
Yeah, I think that
support
would
of
be-
the town's grant application.
yeah, because that sidewalk chops right up right at the driveway of that other house, and it's too bad because that crosswalk could be utilized coming right down. So,
Thank you, Mr. Kaplan.
Yeah, it's where it jumps from right to left.
Thank you for showing a good sense of urbanism.
Uh,
You're playing right into the hands.
Any other questions from the commission at this time? Any questions or comments from the public? And if you just want to go ahead and stop that.
Oh,
share
yeah.
Again, please, Tara.
Thank you for reminding me that I can't see hands up, but there are none.
Hearing and seeing no further questions or comments. I will move.
make a motion
Mr.
to
Popowski.
make a motion to close the public hearing on application PZ 24-7.
Motion made by Mr. Popowski, seconded by Mr. Hill to close public hearing on application 24-17. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes vote will close, a no vote will keep the hearing open. Mr. Hill.
Oh, yeah, we have Russell Robin.
Jane Saucy, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dave Popowski, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Ryan Canoyer, yes.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Ms. Rohrlevac. We'll call that an abstention.
Sure.
And Joseph Portobello, yes. The public hearing is closed. Item 5, and I guess I will make a motion to amend the agenda to include discussion of application 24-11 in this section.
Okay, I said, yes. That's fine, I thought you were gonna do it first.
Well, because we're just discussing the action. Right, not the actual public hearing. So the motion has been made to amend the agenda to include discussion of application 24-11.
Second.
Seconded by Mr.
I'm sorry,
Popowski.
who made the motion?
I did.
Okay.
Any discussion on the motion? A yes vote will amend the agenda, and no vote. Mr. Hill.
Melvin Hill, yes. Russell Robin, yes.
Jane Saucy, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dave Popowski, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Ryan Canoyer, yes.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Ms. Rohrlevac?
Must be the cows got out.
Maybe.
So, and Joseph Portobello, yes. Okay, so discussion on application 24-11 with the application from for Sharma, One Ratan Road, USC Plus. In our last discussion on this application, we had discussed some conditions, some recommended conditions that we would like to consider as a commission. And thank you, Tara and Cindy, for working on this in the interim. The sheet that's labeled 2 that we got in this month's packet lists out those conditions. And we lose 2 pages. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I can't find one.
I have them here if you'd like me to read them.
Well, I
Mr.
would,
Chairman.
I will move
No, I'm just-
to approve with the conditions, and then as part of discussion, we'll read the conditions into the minutes. So motion has been made to approve application 24-11 with conditions made by the chair, seconded by Mr. Blackmer. And so for discussion on the motion, I will now read in the 9 conditions. 1, the applicant shall install no parking signs on the hammerhead turn around designated for emergency service vehicles. 2, a directory of all addresses and structures associated with the development shall be posted on the entrance gate area. 3, the applicant shall install a flow children's sign at the exit of the development. 4, the applicant shall submit a written request to the town of Webster, Massachusetts, requesting permission to install slow children's signs on the government lane Brown's Road. The town of Webster's written response shall be placed in the record and attached to the special permit. Any refusal by the town of Webster to permit the applicant to install such signs shall not serve as grounds to deny the special permit by the Planning and Zoning Commission of the County of Thompson, Connecticut. And I would add that any failure of the town of Webster to respond shall also not serve as grounds to deny the special permit.
Are you want to repeat that? Any failure,
Of the town of Webster to respond
say,
shall not serve as grounds to deny the special.
Yep.
5, all Thompson Emergency Services Department and the Connecticut State Police Troop B shall be provided 24-hour access to the development through sharing of any applicable entry codes or pass cards. 6, the applicant shall enter into the record an estimated phase schedule. 7, the applicant shall enter into the record a limitation plan of construction vehicles entering United States property. Such plan shall indicate that heavy construction vehicles shall not travel to the job site on local roads during the hours prescribed as pickup and drop off in the surrounding neighborhood. 8, hours of construction operation shall be Monday through Saturday, 7:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. No construction operation shall be permitted on Sundays and holidays. And number 9, information related to conditions 1 through 9 shall be submitted to the record and into the special permit. Mr. Popowski.
So, Mr. Chair, I would propose that under condition number 5, that we also add, although they didn't want to be added, I think that the owner, the developer should be providing that access to the town of Webster. Should there be an emergency? I don't want to see that Webster being closer didn't have the code to get in to be able to satisfy and to protect the people that may be in Thompson under a mutual aid agreement. So I think that it's beneficial and covers both of us.
So, all Thompson Emergency Services Department, comma, Town of Webster Emergency Services.
Yep.
Comma, and the Connecticut State Police.
oh, so you want, okay, town of Webster
Yep.
emergency,
They choose to use it, they use it, they have access to it.
okay.
I will move as amended. You second as amended, Mr. Blackmer. Thank you. Mr.
Well,
Wood.
did you didn't make a motion on this yet?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we're in a
You made a
motion to
motion,
approve with
second.
conditions.
So now they're in discussion of the motion.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're good. They're good.
There's gonna be a lot of them, that one. Fine.
Mr. Wood.
With number 7 with the construction vehicles, I know you plan on doing this, but we'll talk to you, you plan on doing this in phases. Is there any way when they go in there to log the place, if they can get that all done in one phase, the first phase, so that the trucks ain't going back in there 2 and 3 different times? And keeps vehicles off of, the heavy construction logging trucks off of them roads. They go in there once and get it over with and don't keep going back and forth, every 2 years.
Is that possible?
Well, I can answer, I can answer it if the chairman directs me to do so. Since the public hearing
And
is
you
closed.
discussed it during the public hearing, you can answer.
Thank you this time. Yes, Ms. Blanchett, if you would.
I 100% understand what Ray is saying, but perhaps it could be done in two sections and that could be environmental, because Wetlands Commission, everything does not like unstabilized ground. So if they're not gonna immediately be covering it up with asphalt buildings and lawn, there'll be a lot of just like undisturbed. So potentially they could just do the cul-de-sac and once and the hammerhead second, then I think the environmentalists might prefer that.
I'm just trying to,
Yeah, minimize the.
Minimum.
For the neighbors and everything.
On the flip side of that, you're gonna have the same number of trucks and you're gonna just put them, if you were to do it all at the first time, you're gonna have that many more trucks going in and out immediately instead of half of them now and the other half in what, 2 years, 5 years?
I was just thinking. The parents will know that them trucks are going through, you know, instead of all of a sudden one day they stop coming through one time and nobody knows nothing about it. Is,
I have one other question. I didn't walk the property. What part of it is wooded and what part of it is relatively, well, not wooded, not,
It's, I would say 100% mature woods without a lot of understory. It's hard distances too, but it's all wood.
it's all wooded. Okay, thank you.
So, Mr. Chairman, just to clarify Janet's point, you're suggesting 2 phases could be reasonable?
Yes, if that meets if the commission is acceptable to that. If the commission is going, if it's your decision that you want all the clearing done in one phase, then that would have been possible.
Chairman, can I speak?
In response to this specific question, yeah.
Yes. It's cost prohibitive to have whole road done 2,500 square foot at $300 to $400 square foot, that's $600,000 to $800,000. So if there's nobody buying the house, it makes no sense for me to even develop third phase. Maybe we'll enter 2 phases. So I think I talked to one of the site workers on Saturdays, and his answer was, I said, I would much prefer to have all this at once. It's cost effective for me if I can afford it. He said, no, you don't want it because that will be against exactly the same thing she said. He said, we need a space to put the stuff in. And if we don't do that, we cut the roads, then it will impact the wetland commission's requirements. So even the site contractors are not in favor of doing the whole thing. They think it will impact the wetland stability.
Thank you, Chairman. Yeah, Mr. Lanky.
I would like to see, to help him, is that any contractor, depending on the amount of people they're gonna have working for him to do whatever, doing like carpenters, plumbers, or whatever. It would be a good idea, and it's a big practice, that if you can minimize the vehicles of the employees coming in. So if somebody has 10 or 12 cars, 15 people working for them, you get like a van, you can put in 8, 9, or 10, would minimize the traffic on those roads. That would be something I would think would be very considerable. You know, you could work that out, find a place for them to park down the road someplace, quite a few places where these people can park their vehicles. That would be my recommendation.
Mr. Chair,
Yeah, Mr. Blackmer.
I'm gonna disagree with John on that. Most of these fellows come in, they have their tools in their truck. You're gonna make them run back out to Point Breeze to get the hammer or whatever.
What if, and I'm trying to include Mr. Williams's thinking and Mr. Lanky's theory. So such plans shall indicate that heavy construction vehicles shall not travel to the job site on local roads during the hours for school bus pickup and drop off in the surrounding neighborhood. comma. No comment, I'm just saying that, and will,
Can I, is it our, and since we're talking about traffic, traveling the roads and being on the property, we talked about that. Is it, the people here who are contractors, isn't it practice that the major pieces of equipment, your payloaders, your big trucks, et cetera, to clear and develop that property? Isn't it common practice that those vehicles stay on the property and employees just drive it?
Yeah.
So that's, I'm just saying that, just
Yeah.
reminding everybody when you start talking
Mhm.
about the traffic on Bryant Street, that it's not going to be those big vehicles every single day. So that's what I have to say. But you're suggesting to add to, that's not all I have to say, add to number 7, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, so after neighborhood, add. And through phase planning. And. I'm gonna say carpool, I mean.
Well,
but-
yeah, it'd be like a cop.
Well, and minimize. Traffic as much as practice.
Okay, so where is that going?
Well, hold on, Mr. Williams.
I'd kind of be happy if, you know, as long as the people in the neighborhood know when the next phase is starting, so they know to keep the kids, you know, not in the roads. You know, that they'll have a heads up on the logging trucks that are starting to, you know, come back in.
I think I see what you're after, Ray. So instead of modifying 6, maybe modify
Instead of 7,
7,
modify
modify 6.
The applicant shall enter into the record an estimated phase schedule and notify
The town of Webster, because they're the ones who have direct access to their residents.
the town of Webster when each new phase begins. But-
Webster, when each new phase begins.
And move as amended, Mr. Blackmore, do you second as amended? Any other thoughts? Comments, discussion? We're
Yes,
done.
we, basically forgot to cross out number 9. We do not need that because where we need to put the conditions in the record, it already says that bring those conditions, those numbers. So like,
Does it hurt?
like number 4.
Yeah.
If we get the letter and the copy, well, that's the first thing I have to say. So we can eliminate number 9. We don't need that. Because we've already covered it.
Well, you got it on the press,
Right.
it's in the records, yeah.
Okay, so.
Yeah, it was Attorney Roberts who called that one out
Okay.
to our attention.
I will, strike 9 and move the approval as amended. Mr. Blackmore, do you second as amended? Second.
Okay, one more, I put on this paper here the recommendations, Janet's comments, which I think are better than what we wrote. The conditions are very well thought out. The only sentence I question is the wording of the town of Webster's written response shall be placed in the record. The applicant has no control over getting response from Webster's. Would it serve the same purpose for the applicant to place a copy of its certified letter in the record requesting the permission to install signs from them?
We can certainly do that. I sought to, with the amendment I made in 4, when I read through the comments, that if Webster doesn't respond, that doesn't. Right, does that achieve the same thing you would point?
Well, it does, except that the first sentence, then we could put the applicant shall submit a written request to the town of Webster by certified, send it to them by certified mail. That's the only other condition.
Yeah, yes, I will move approval with conditions as amended by adding by certified letter
And a copy would go in.
in number 4. Do you second as amended?
Yes, we
Thank you, Mr. Blackmer. Anything else? Any further discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve application 2411 with conditions. A no vote will deny. Mr. Lenky,
John B. Lanky, yes.
Ryan Canora, yes.
Randy Blackmore, yes.
Dave Paplowski, yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
James Lawson, yes.
Russell Robin, yes. Alan Hill, yes.
Ms. Orlovak,
Guys, Orlovak, yes.
Joseph Protigan, yes. Application 2411 is approved with condition. Thank you, Dr. Sharma. Application.
So you vote on approving the application?
That's
That
what
was
they
the
just
vote.
did,
We just approved it.
Okay, approved. All right,
with those conditions as amended.
sounds good to me.
Application 2416. Mr. Poplawski.
So, I think the only condition of two things. I think that, as I stated in the beginning during the public hearing, that Joe Tasek inspects that storm drain, the rebuilding of the storm drain, that it's functional and acceptable, and Joe Tasek signs off on that storm drain.
Okay, DPW. Anything else with that, inspect,
Somebody, I had a question about that. I saw, and maybe I just missed it, I saw an email from Janet to Joe about,
yes,
and was there a response from
from Joe.
Joe in there?
Yes.
I think Joe approved it all.
Okay, I gotta give the folder.
I'm sorry if I missed it. Was that about this, Steve, or is it?
Yeah, I think Joe was fine with
You just wanna
everything that
make
was
sure he-
proposed.
he-
I just want to make sure that he's involved on the rebuild of that catch basin, that it's up to. Because it's the town's gonna own it at the end,
Right.
right? It's on our easement, so I just want to make sure that it's satisfactory to us. And then I just had one more.
Yeah,
So based on, and I know he left, but so based on the fair market value, right? So the assessor appraised it at 137. We have a quick claim deed or whatever the deed was for 650,000. So at $137,000, what the assessor appraised it at, that's going, I just did some quick math. It's like $7,500 an acre is what he appraised it at.
It's 650,000 includes that huge lot across the street.
Okay. Be that as it may, I think we should consider not just going by the assessor. I think that we need to look at what the fair market value is, not based on what the assessor has. You know, even if it's 400,000, and I'm not trying to gouge, but I'm just trying to be fair to the town and I just don't see $7,500 an acre as being a marketable acre of property within the town. I think that it's higher than that. What the higher value is, I don't know, but I think that that's worth, and I forgot what it was. It was something that was said that
there's an appraiser.
we can go with an appraiser or something. So I would make that recommendation that we seek the guidance of an appraiser to appraise that land and see what that in favor, money in favor, in lieu of conservation.
Cindy, do you know, sorry, right, I'll get to
Yep.
who pays for that appraiser?
Well, I think if your regulations say that you can, send any costs, like, extraordinary costs over to the applicant.
I'm reasonably confident that it says that, because that's all a part of our subdivision rewrite that we just did, and we were pretty diligent about
Yeah.
that. So without looking at it, I can't say for certain, but I'm
So.
pretty
when I write
confident in
this
that.
up, I can quote the regulation,
Yeah,
but so who do we?
Well, so yeah, just,
Okay.
we've just had some ideas
Yeah.
in the ether right now.
That,
Mr. Williams,
that was pretty much, I was like, if it's $400 and the town has to pay the $400 for an appraiser, it's, a wash and it's kind of, but.
and I'm not saying 10,
If it goes the other way, then.
yeah, I'm not saying 10 quotes or anything. I'm just saying, just something reasonable. Let's just make sure.
For the record.
Miss, did you have something, Mr. Hill?
Conceptual only. What are we approving?
The subdivision.
It's what?
The subdivision, just the subdivision itself.
That's all, that's all.
So those are two people that you're saying.
So,
That was my two.
so then.
I'll make a
if
motion to
I-
approve.
Mr. Poplawski, if I may, I'm going to summarize. Mr. Poplawski moves approval of application 24-16 with the conditions that the Department of Public Works be consulted on the finalized improvement of,
That one storm drain, the
The
new
storm
storm
drain.
drain, or the rebuild of that storm drain. I don't think they're numbered, but you know what I'm,
Yes,
the one.
and that a mutually agreed upon appraiser appraise the value of the property for the
In lieu of.
fee in lieu of
Okay, who mutually agreed will be.
between the applicant and the town.
wouldn't that be easier if the applicant chose the appraiser?
It would be. but-
Because the town has already had the assessor. Now, the applicant should have somebody that he trusts or she trusts.
I think the language about mutually agreed on is
Yeah.
protect the parties, including in this case, the town.
Okay. Because then you're gonna go back and forth as to who's gonna appraise it, who agrees and what side. So
In practice, the applicant is almost certainly the one who's going to suggest the
Yeah.
appraiser. The town just has to agree to it, therefore mutually
yeah,
agreeable.
just said.
Is that an accurate summary of your motion, Mr. Poplawski?
Very accurate. Thank you.
There's second to Mr. Poplawski's motion.
I'll second.
Any rock, paper, scissors? I'll give it to Ms. Halsey.
Yeah. Fine.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, a yes approves with condition, no denies. Mr. Hill. Calvin Hill, yes. Russell Robin, yes.
It's also yes.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dave Popowski, yes.
Andy Blackmer, yes.
Ryan Canori, yes.
John B. Linky, yes.
Ms. Orlovac?
Guys, Orlovac, yes.
With McCurdy Brown, yes, the application 24-16 is approved with condition. Application 24-17. So,
Mr. Chair.
Mr. Poplawski,
So I would just, I think a condition should be the dumpster and see if we can move that dumpster, the placement of that dumpster. And provide some sort of a snow storage, in lieu of that dumpster location, dedicated to snow storage. That'd
is
be my
that a motion,
condition.
Mr. Poplawski?
What's that?
Is that a motion, Mr. Poplawski?
And a motion to approve.
Mr. Poplawski moves approval of application 24-17 with the condition that the dumpster as described or as depicted on the site plan that be moved, that area be dedicated to snow removal. Mr. Hill seconds. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Mr. Blackmer.
All right, as far as the snow removal, that's fine. I can't quite visualize how much space is there, but, I don't know whether there can be some, something in there that if they're short of space for snow storage, they have to get it trucked out. They can't exceed some area, given area or whatever. I mean, trucking snow, when you get into small lots like that is, not at all uncommon.
Mhm.
Some years you need it, some years you don't.
For a little while. Huh?
Maybe let them figure that out for themselves. I'll withdraw my comment. How's that?
I'm trying to find the math. to see
How's
if I
that?
can-
We're moving the meeting along.
Pretty good.
So what are we doing with that?
We are.
Forget mine.
Not, Mr. Blackmer withdraws his remarks.
Oh, okay.
And wishes the applicant the best of luck with snow.
Well,
You'll know about it when there's no parking for you.
Yeah.
So it'll be
Yeah,
followed.
right. Yeah, exactly.
Any further discussions? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve with condition, a no vote will deny. Mr. Lenky.
John B. Lincoln, yes.
Ryan Canori, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Dave Popowski, yes.
I'm gonna say, because of our bad practices in our regulations, because we don't have no description on a dwelling on a lot that size, I gotta vote yes.
You can vote either way. It isn't gonna make any difference.
I know, yeah, same thing because we don't have any, specific descriptions. I will abstain.
Russell Robin, yes. Alvin Hill, yes.
Ms. Orlovak,
Kaiser Levesque, yes.
Joseph Purdy Brown, yes. With one abstention, the application is approved with condition. Item 6, citizens' comments.
Nobody online.
Moving.
I see none. Item 7, approved minutes. We're gonna start with the subcommittee minutes. Our rewrite that is on July 11th at 7 PM on Zoom. I will move approval of the minutes as submitted.
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Blackman. Any discussion? Yes.
Just one
Yes,
comment.
Mr.
I had listened to the minutes and I'd like to do a little bit of some revisions. I don't have them written up today. I've started making some notes, but I saw some things that might be added to the subcommittee minutes, so I will submit them at a later date. We'll say this week. So I guess I'm saying that I don't accept the minutes as well.
Okay, so you would counsel against approving the minutes as submitted.
I would, yeah.
Any
Is
other
that-
further discussion? So the motion we have on the table is to approve as submitted. The discussion is on the motion.
Who was the second, by the way?
Mr. Blackman.
Thank you.
Because I went through it with a lot of detail and listened to it a few times, including today.
What you're saying is you went through the details in it and it's not in the actual minutes.
Yeah, there's things that are not as detailed.
Okay.
There's some points I think that were left out, so I want to add some
Add.
commentary to it.
So what you're saying is there's some real good discrepancies.
Mr.
Yeah,
Blackman.
I think that there's some content that was left out. that
I
is
got a
important,
question
so.
for Tara.
Yeah,
Mhm.
Ms. Blackman.
If Orion has comments, we're going over those again, right? The
Please.
subcommittee meeting?
Yeah.
Subcommittee?
So-
Just on the minutes.
Some-
Yeah, so the comment is on the minutes. So the minutes, as we know, is at best a summary,
Mhm.
and the recordings are the actual record, which are both retained in Zoom for a temporary period of time and then kept perpetually on YouTube, which is why those links are there. And it is noted whenever I do minutes that it is a summary only, and for the full content to refer to the recordings.
Yes.
Ms. Celsi, then Mr. Lenky.
No, I'm sorry.
Oh,
I
you
was
were
just-
distracted. Ms. Celsi.
Because I wasn't here, but I mean, I feel that things that are important should be in those minutes. So.
So the legal requirement of minutes is
No,
that
no,
you
no,
record
I know that's
actions
illegal.
and
I know what the-
attendance.
I know what the legal requirements. are. I don't care about that. I want to see what is said and what is done at these meetings so that it's on paper, so that everybody.
I was thinking, yeah, in terms of notes, and if people didn't have the benefit of time to go back
Yes.
2 hours and listen to
Yes.
it, that I am very proficient in taking notes and summarizing things, and I think that I could maybe put some of the points on both sides and frame the argument better, so it'd be more productive for the next time we have a
Yeah,
subcommittee.
because I want a clearer picture
That
of
was-
what happened.
As the person who moved acceptance of the minutes. Do you think they are a fair representation of the meeting as well?
So maybe we could table it until the next one, until maybe you can come up with those.
Yeah,
things
I'll
that
submit
you-
it.
Yeah, I would like.
I'll
to
submit it
see-
to the
Yeah. And then we could vote on it at the next month.
Sorry, I had a lot of time today in the car. I was at the Fairfield and back.
Yeah, so if you have suggested content revisions, you can send them to me and I can create a revised draft if that is the pleasure of the commission. The motion on the table, I believe, however, is to approve or not approve.
The motion is to approve, but I'm happy to withdraw my motion.
I'd like to see those things. Yeah, so if you could withdraw.
Are these notes gonna be for the next subcommittee meeting or the next?
Minutes.
Regular meeting.
Regular meeting for the
Okay.
minutes.
Okay, so it's not even about, it's about,
To answer your
It's
question,
not about
I'll
the-
have them before the next subcommittee meeting to answer your question.
Well, that doesn't answer well, how we can, what we do tonight.
I will withdraw my motion to approve and move to table the subcommittee minutes of the July 11th
Second,
meeting
Okay.
to August 26th.
Okay.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No. One, no vote.
Which was
Mr.
Alvin?
Hill. The regular minutes, or the minutes of the regular meeting of June 24th. Again, I will move to approve as submitted.
well, I'll second that too.
Any discussion? Hearing none, a yes vote will approve as submitted, a no vote will not approve. Mr. Hill.
Russell Robin, yes.
Jane Salcy abstain.
Ray Williams, yes.
Dave Plesky, yes.
Randy Blackmer, yes.
Ryan Canary, yes.
John Bianchi, yes.
Ms. Orlovak?
Kaiser Levak, yes.
Joseph Brody Brown, yes. Applications received. Application 24-18. Applicant Roland Emmeling and Michelle Chipman, property owners of Zero Hill Road, map 1.6, block 15, lot 7, zone RRAD, 1.59 acres, requests a special permit to conduct a micro cultivation facility of adult use cannabis. According to Article 14, use regulations, section 275-14-7, retail alcohol and adult use cannabis, and Article 7, section 275-7-2, table with permitted uses, number 13, cannabis micro cultivator.
I make a motion for PZC 24-18, set for public hearing.
At our next regular meeting on August
At our next
26th,
regular meeting on August, what,
26th,
26th.
seconded by Mr. Hill. It's very quiet in my ear.
That's all right.
Any discussion? All those in favor of accepting for public hearing, say aye. Opposed? Application 24-20, applicant Strategic Commercial Realty, property owner of, I'm sorry, I didn't call for the names because that was unanimous vote. My apologies for just.
Huh?
For order. Did I call for the nose? I don't think I did. It was a
Oh.
unanimous vote. Just for the.
For the record, it was unanimous. There you go.
Application 24-20, applicant Strategic Commercial Realty Incorporated, property owner of 0 West Thompson Road, map 65, block 101, lot 9, BBB, gravel operation renewal permit, excavation of approximately 1 million cubic yards of ledge rock to prepare the subject property for future commercial industrial possible vote development.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
Possible development.
Possible.
For
Development?
possible
Site development,
Site
maybe,
development.
site
Oh.
development.
Oh, yeah.
Article 14, section 235-14-3E, renewal permit.
This is very simple, because there's no activity
doing
there,
it
they
there.
just have to keep renewing it every year.
Do they have to pay a fee just to renew that? Taking
Yes,
up
they
the-
do pay a fee.
How long has it been since they did anything on that site?
Well,
They
they're
haven't
not
touched
gonna.
it.
They haven't touched
Yeah.
it? Okay.
They're
Okay.
working north first and then they'll go back to that.
Got 7 years, they say.
Oh.
I make a motion, we approve,
Second,
extend the permit for PZC 24-20. applicant Strategic Commercial Realty.
Mr. Popowski moves to renew the permit for application 24-20, seconded by Mr. Blackmer. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The vote is unanimous. Application 24-21, applicant Richard DeRocher, DBA J&J.
No, it's not Richard.
DBA J&J Construction LLC, property owner of 484 to 486 Product Town Farm Road, map 158, block 20, lot 8, zone RRAG. A gravel operation permit renewal and reclamation of site zoning regulations, 2012, Article 9, Section 5F1, gravel banks, earth removal and earth processing.
I just put pictures into the, packet. It's very neat, very clean. He has the piles that he's going to be reclaiming for topsoil. We've got just one big hole left that he has to be planted on filling. Again, I know he said last year that probably was his last year, but he thinks that he has at least 6 more months, if not a year. He did experience some personal issues in the past year. But, the driveway all the way down, it's beautiful, going off the driveway, going up to the property where he, is going to build his house, and it was completed. And it's just, it looks good. And then he has those 2 piles that is going to be, with soil again, even though they're grown with evergreens, it's gonna be for reclaiming the whole area, so. Done a good job compared to what it was a few years ago when we started.
Make a motion to approve the renewal of PZC 24-21, applicant Richard DeRoches, DBA J&J Construction LLC.
Motion made by Mr. Popowski, seconded by Mr. Hill. Any discussion on the motion to renew? All those in favor say aye. Opposed? The application is renewed unanimously. Application 24-22, applicant Patricia Rudzinski, owner of 0 Lavely Road, map 95, block 27, lot 17, zone RRAD, a gravel operation renewal permit. Zoning regulation 2012, Article 9, Section 5F1, gravel banks, earth removal, earth process.
She would like again, her fee to be waived. I just want to make one comment about, what's going on out there. She cannot rent that property to anybody because of the road situation out there. The original entrance to it is now blocked and closed. So it'd be a lot of legal work for her to try to get entrance to the property. So I just don't know how long she's gonna continue doing this.
You're talking about where the gate is on,
Yeah.
it's actually Sandam Road.
On Adam Road.
Richard-
Well, I'm sorry, Owen Adam Road,
Yeah,
on the
Owen
far
Adam,
end off the ladder,
Yeah.
right,
There's a
yeah,
lot of people that can't get to their property because of that being closed off.
So.
because he had the key to that,
Yeah.
Town.
the town. Well, no, he had a key, Norman Rosinski had a key, and the town had a key, so he could get in to, to do the gravel work when he had it. But now that he passed a few years back, she's just maintaining it, but nobody's biting on it.
They can't, because they can't get into it. because-
I understand that,
So
so
Wigglesworth owns 40 acres in there that he can't get into.
on the left-hand side, if you go down on the left.
Yeah.
Where, what do you call it, Rich Road comes in,
Yeah, that's,
the road that's been, got cut in half by,
yeah.
395.
Yeah, so.
Do you want to waive her fee again? That's what I'm.
There's the
I move we waive a fee.
I'll second that.
motion made by Mr. Blackmer, seconded by Mr. Williams to waive the fee. All those in favor say aye. Oppose?
Was it Ray who had the second?
Yes,
Thank you.
and then I will move the renewal of the application of the permit. I make a motion to renew the permit. Seconded by Ms. Salsi. Any discussion? I'm sorry, and that would include the waiver, obviously. All those in favor say aye, and opposed? The permit is renewed unanimously. Item 9, report of officers and staff, Mr. Tenoya.
Yes, Secretary's report. So to close out the 2024, the current year, we had an original budget of $38,356. We spent a total of $35,148.32. Left a extra of $32,07.68 for a surplus, which never happens.
Well, it rolls into the general fund.
It does, it rolls into 91.6% usage was the official for last year. I am working on a reconciliation to look at the, just to make sure that the everything was accounted for, and I am working on that now, so I don't have that report for today, but it is something that I'm doing just a brief reconciliation, nothing too fancy. For the new budget, we're going to have an increase for the new year. So we did get our wish. 48,260 is the new budget. Majority of that is the well-deserved CEO salary increase, and that is the bulk of it. So that moves up to 36, and that accounts for the vast majority of the increase. So good job to all.
So I'm here 4 days a week now.
It ain't just. You sound so thrilled, Cindy.
Wasn't just a raise. She got stuck with more.
More hours.
Well, look at all those gravel renewals we got this month.
So yeah, so that's the report for now, and this report is as of July 22nd today.
Thank you, Mr. Canor. Ms. Penn.
Just briefly tag on to the end of the budget report by clarifying that we have finally paid off NECOG for the draft of the regulations rewrite that they did in 2019 that somehow never got paid. I've been paying it off in dribs and drabs ever since. It is now totally closed. Weird how that happened, but whatever, it's no longer a problem. This week, Wednesday night here in this room, for those of you who have been attending the 65 main workshops, we have workshop number 10 coming up. Expecting it to be, well, not expecting, it will be more lightly attended than some of the others where we've had presentations. The intent for this time around is to really start putting on paper some stuff about the order of action of how we're proceeding, with or without grants that we have out in the wind, the site work, the student engagement, which is supposed to start in spring semester 25, based on the presentations we had at the last one in particular, where we had those other organizations come in. How do we want this organization to look? Is it a co-op? How do we start thinking about forming a board? So a little more detail oriented and a little less overarching philosophy, but that'll all lead us into the master plan, the drafting of the master plan, which I will do with the project partners for the last 6 months of that grant. So anybody who hasn't RSVP'd who wants to go, just let me know over the next couple of days so that I can order the correct amount of pizza, which is the most important thing for everyone. And then the last piece,
No pizza.
I know you can't have pizza. You have to remind me.
That's okay.
And then the last thing is the next subcommittee meeting. I will send out a doodle tomorrow. I know, well, we weren't going to do it this week anyway, but I'm out on vacation the first week of August, well, the last couple days of July through the first couple days of August, and then I'll be back. So, I'll send out a bunch of dates to choose from in August for the next. And then the last piece of that is when I come back from vacation, my office is likely to have moved into this room behind us so that we can move the wetlands agent into my old office, and the land use staff will all be in close proximity to one another. So that'll take place, I'm sure, over a few weeks, but it's got to start with me moving into the empty or being moved into the empty room while I'm away. So that's all the news that's fit to print.
We're gonna get to that.
We are gonna get to that.
Thank you.
That's a
Ms.
good
Peck.
segue.
I have a couple of.
Yeah, Ms. Dunn.
So I just want to let everybody know that John Philcheck is leaving Northeast, Nikon. I know that they were, looking at applications last week, so I just want everybody to know that. I'm not
apply for
sure, pardon?
Did you apply for it?
No.
A friend of mine did get headhunted for it, but he didn't apply.
Oh,
If you could do me a favor and check over our contact list. It says, please check your contact info. If it is correct, put a check mark by your name. If it is not correct, please make changes. I'll put that on that side.
Thank you, Cindy.
The other thing I wanted to do is, I know that this is not your application, but you have been reading the updates through the ZBA minutes on Bates Auto. I just want to show you the fence, guys.
Yeah, they've been, I've been
I
going
mean,
by
this
every
is
day.
just
Yeah, it's gonna look
unbelievable.
so
Just
nice.
pass that around.
Huge.
They're just so proud of themselves, and we're so proud of them too. And he said that he's had neighbors that came by and said, we don't care what you're doing behind there now, we just want that beautiful fence there. But they certainly still plan on keeping up. Do you need, oh, you guys got, okay, they still do plan on keeping up, clearing that land.
I was watching you put the poles in for on the hottest day.
I know.
Oh, those poor guys.
I stopped by there early this morning and only half was done. He said, come back this afternoon, it'll all be done.
Yeah.
Cause he sent me a picture over the weekend. He texted me a picture over the weekend. So I couldn't resist going to see it this morning.
Well, and Cindy, they've done a great job on that property.
Yeah.
You've been following up on them.
Oh, yes,
for
I
quite some
want
time,
the
so
property.
I'd
Yeah.
like to, on behalf of the commission, if I may, share our appreciation. for your work with that property.
Yeah, they
Thank
did
you.
good. What are they gonna do with the little house that is vacant?
The
They
little
gonna
house that's
take it
vacant,
down?
they're going to tear that down. They said Carlos told me, it's just not, they just could not.
It's not-
maintain it.
yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing there to do. So he was very, they will tear that down, but that'll be a project after the,
That's why you were
the
here.
get the
recycling.
fence
I know.
done, then it can go to
My
the
name's
house.
fault.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dunn.
So now you have your answer.
Item 10, correspondence.
Was
We received two notices from the town of Webster, one from the town of Buckness, and a letter from the CTDOT. Mr. Williams.
I'd like to see us be receptacle to these other towns and send them what we're doing. You know, they send us stuff every month. I'm not sure whose job that is.
Well, it's on the recording secretary's job list, but,
I just,
Gonna
think,
be-
you know, it would be good if we gave them information. Seeing that they give it to us every month.
Thank you, Mr. Williams. Cindy, you and I can connect. with
Yeah.
that.
I'll make a point of that.
Thank you, Ray. Item 11, signing of Mylars, there are none. Well, business, there is none. New business, discussion of changing newspaper for legal notices. This was in Cindy's memo. We have some correspondence about it. A proposal to change our publication from the Villager to the Shopper's Guide. Is to be discussed. Cindy?
So does anybody have any questions on anything that I wrote up?
Sounds like it should be better coverage.
Yeah,
I think
that makes sense. As long as it's legal.
Yeah, that's my question. Is it considered a newspaper?
Well, we contacted, you contacted Rich Robert.
I think Margaret.
Margaret did originally.
So the question, Chair and I were going over this today. I had called the Shopper's Guide, I called Amy, and she said, and I just asked for like basically a quarter of a page, and she said $94. So Chair and I started going over the receipts, the ads. There has to be some more research done on this as to if this is going to be cheaper, because for an example, something like this right here. And that has two applications on it, was $88.20. So that means each applicant, 44 came out of their $75 fee. This goes in twice, so that's 44, 88, so we're paying a little bit I don't know if you guys want more research on this, if it's going to be financially feasible for us to change.
Part of the problem is that it's not comparing apples to apples. It's kind of like comparing apples to pears,
Yeah.
because Shopper's Guide charges by dimension
Mm.
and the Villager charges by text.
Right.
So it's definitely not one-to-one. And the other thing that the commission would want to consider is if it's close one way or the other, is the coverage. And this was why Margaret had brought it up to us, was because she and, well, no, not she, Jana Roberson, who was the planning director there, had brought it to her first selectman at that time, making the point, as I think you all saw, that the Shopper's Guide goes to your house whether you want it or not, and the Villager, you have to ask for it. So even though it's not a news source, it is a source of information that is more reliable. So even if the cost is close or maybe even a little higher, you may still wish to consider going with the Shopper's Guide for that reason.
And sorry to talk over you, Tara, my apologies.
I was done.
If it's more consistent, if it's a more consistent price point for us, then we can adjust our fee if needed.
Right.
Right, we're not sort of guessing what each notice is gonna cost.
Exactly, because some of the legal notices for some of these applications are actually coming out of their fee for the application. You know, it could, $75 isn't it, especially for public hearing. What I did is, this is the size of the Shopper's Guide page, so that this is a quarter of the page. So I tried to put, you know, a quarter of a page, this is our legal notice. Right there, it's like, okay, I can't figure this out, so. And I do believe, if I'm not mistaken, the ad last week for wetlands was smaller print too. So if it's smaller print, you're getting more on that page. And it's not always gonna be a quarter page. Sometimes it's going to be, sometimes it's gonna be more than a quarter page, depending on how many applications. So you can make up your mind to do it tonight, or you can say, do some more research on the cost, and come back next month.
And to your point, Mr. Chairman,
More research on it. I know that the Shopper's Guide goes to more people, but I also know that, you know, yeah, quarter page, you can't fit that stuff on a quarter of a page. So I'd like to see a little bit more done on it.
Right, and then Tara.
I'd like to know what the attorney said about the legality of that, because.
he said it was fine.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just to sort of, we're not putting something out there and then somebody says, hey, that's not a newspaper, and they come back, I just want to make.
Oh, I
Yeah, take
attached a thread of
responses.
emails from Margaret,
Yeah.
to Attorney Roberts, and I quoted your state statute in here, and so, and is, if he's fine with it, then there's no argument.
Yeah,
Is there
Tara.
any cost of getting reduced rates from the Shopper's Guide, because this would be something consistent.
I can ask Amy.
I would think that that might, because it would be, if we are gonna start putting in our all legal into the Shopper's Guide, then we get a better rate. That's
Yeah, and
It's worth
the
asking.
attorney had suggested that the town, if the town's gonna do it, they do it for all of their.
And
So it's
that's
not just our commission.
Yeah, so I think
It is a
that
good
we
point,
could
Ms.
see
House.
if there's
Yeah.
a little bit of wiggle room there.
I was just going to
Just one second.
piggyback on your mentioning the fees. I would say that we did amend the fees when we did either the full rewrite or a subsequent adjustment. But I think we knew at that time that we thought the fees were still low. So whichever direction the commission takes, I think a revision to those fees is appropriate. And unlike the body of your regulations, that's not a public hearing. That's you guys can amend your own fees because it's an appendix.
And that was, cautiously for that reason.
For exactly that reason,
That's
yes.
Another possibility too. I mean, you know, every department in this town makes public do it.
Yeah.
So if we could talk to the Shopper's Guide, give us one size.
Like a full
for
page.
different departments, it could be a little bit more than a quarter page. And it will be in every week. There may be a good.
That's what I mean by wiggle room, yeah.
Yeah, because that would be a lot.
Yeah.
Well, the Shopper's Guide went from this thickness down to this thickness,
Yes.
so that, you know, if you're gonna be consistent with the money,
Yeah.
you know, like you said, Mr. Hill, they could drop the price a few bucks if you're gonna be from all the departments.
I'm gonna be in there every week, and if
there's Yeah.
nothing happening, just say hello.
Yeah, there you
Greetings,
go.
Town of Thompson. Excellent. Okay, thank you, Cindy, and you'll keep us posted on,
I will.
on your findings. Item 14, review of CBA minutes. The big doings was the fence and the one application. Item 15, citizens' comments.
Won't everyone speak at once?
Ms. Clark.
Valerie Clark, Elm Road. While I'm all about saving money on the publications, the one big difference between the Villager and the Shopper's Guide is the Villager dedicates a section to legals. So when you're looking for what's happening in your town, you know exactly where to go to look. Whereas if you're publishing in the Shopper's Guide, you have to look as a citizen through 30, 50, depending on what season it is, pages of the Shopper's Guide to identify that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Clark. That is a point to consider. Item 16, Commissioner's comments. Ms. Salsi, then Mr. Bond.
I agree with Valerie, but I mean, I think somebody needs to sit down with the shopper's guide. Because if the whole town goes with it, they're gonna be making more money. They should be, like I brought up earlier, give a break. And can it be designated that we get, page whatever? That is something that could be discussed as well, so that the town of Taunton legal page, because we do it every week, not us, but the town every week. That can a page, it's a question to ask them, so that we can say, look in the shopper's guide, page 27, this is where our notices are gonna be.
Or page 3, and then you turn one page and it's there.
Yeah,
There you go. I
Yeah.
like that better.
yeah,
Thank you, Ms. Salsi. Mr. Blackburn.
Just made my comment.
yeah.
And regardless of all of that, let us hope that the legislature actually manages to pass not requiring newspaper notices versus notification through your own electronic means, because that would save us even more money and give us more control over whether they're correct or not.
Mr. Hill.
And that's a possibility too, is talking to the Shopper's Guide. It's not just the town of Thompson. The various towns around us are always putting in legal notices. Maybe have a page or
Yeah.
two that just says legal notices on the top.
The villager does.
Right.
Like the
Well, yeah, but I mean,
Yeah, but
it's-
it's not-
villager is not gonna
No,
like
no,
it.
I'm saying, that's what Ms. Clark's point was, that there is a legal notices page. And if the shopper's guide models that, it becomes a.
It would be beneficial for them.
I wanted to go back to, not everybody does electronic,
Yeah,
so if that state goes electronic, I think that's gonna be, there's gonna be a lot of people that's not gonna see anything. I think that's a terrible idea myself. And for commissioner's comments, I got a comment about minutes. I wasn't at that meeting, the subcommittee meeting, but the email we got this during the week did not match what we got in our packet. Another thing is, I'm gonna bring it up again at them conferences. The speakers at the conferences bring up, make your regulations so that everybody understands them and they're point blank, this is what it is. And in our subdivision regulations, there's stuff that does not describe what should be done. And that should be, definitely should be fixed. And I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mr. Myers. Mr. McCloskey.
So I would just like to take a minute and I don't know what all the other commission's feelings are, but for Mr. LaFawn, the Webster Town Administrator, to write a response letter to us, I think deserves comments from this committee directly back to him, because he considers what we did disappointing. We took 3 months to debate, to put conditions on a resident of our town who's developing land. We took our time. We looked at the whole thing, and for him to come back and say that he's disappointed in what this commission did, I find offensive. We don't go to him I'll give you Bonnet Acres. There's $1 million houses that are on
Thank
Bonnet
you.
Acres
Yeah.
that come through Sandam Road, Bonnet Road, that the town of Thompson maintains. We don't ask him or the town of Webster for slow signs, for construction schedules, for logging. We took our time, and I think that someone should write a rebuttal and extend what we did so that he understands what this commission actually did. And I'm, as you can tell, I'm pretty aggravated that someone of that capacity would find fault with what we have done. And I specifically called out the fire department as well, because there's been some talk about how the fire department will not respond if there's some sort of an emergency call up there, which I find hypocritical of the oath that they take to protect lives. I don't care if it's a state line or what it is. He has the right to build that. It's a public road. We have done everything we could. That's my say.
It's a great
I
point.
agree, Dave, because I also took some offense by that. I think a time frame schedule of what this commission did from point one, when we got his application, and what we did, and all the comments, all the citizens from Webster that we listened to. Because this has not been a fast process for this. So I think that's a pretty good suggestion. And I also don't like the fact that they've said their fire department is not gonna respond. That's BS.
Yeah,
That's BS.
so I don't know if that comes from Amy. I don't know where that comes from. It could just die right here, and Valerie heard me and Ken Beausoleil heard me. I don't really care, but I think somebody else there should be a formal, that's pretty harsh words from a neighboring town.
Why don't we just put up road signs right where those people go?
Put a toll gate out.
I agree with you.
It's a great point.
The consensus of this commission, I can work with Cindy and Tira, and I think it would be appropriate for that letter to come from.
It's hypocritical.
I think it is.
That statement was totally hypocritical.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fairness, go ahead,
I
Randy.
don't pretend to recall for sure, but I don't think the town of Thompson raised hell with the town of Webster when they would tie into our roads in Bonnet Acres and whatnot.
Well, that's
Yeah.
what
That's
we were
exactly what
saying,
they
is
said.
these people are using.
So turnabout's fair play is where I was going.
Yeah.
But they want it their way, but you
Mr.
know,
Lanky, then Ms. Celsi. Yeah.
yeah, I was just gonna say I was gonna say, let's put up a toll booth, if that's gonna be the case, then for that.
Ms. Celsi.
I think that, whoever, you wanna talk to Cindy, whatever, get this done, I think then the draft, so that we can, as a commission, can look it over. And, do it diplomatically, and just so, because my guess is this guy has no clue what we have done for the last 3 months on this. He's only
You're right.
listened to the citizens of Webster, so all he's getting is the one side. So I think a written out bullet point all the way
Yeah.
down for the last 3 months. Yeah.
Tira.
Sarah,
Well, I just wanted to point out, and again, since we're in comments, for the recording, that I would say, and I think Cindy probably also agrees, that you guys did the actual job that you are here to do, which is to review applications for their legality according to the zoning regulations of the town of Thompson. And in addition to that, when my equivalent in the town of Webster, who was very nice, presented us with factual information, real concerns, the commission took those concerns into account and did set conditions. So, and that is exactly what you guys are tasked to do, and you did it. So, you should feel good about what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so I'll
think
say-
we only got one side of it, and then we need to show him the other
I'll
side.
sit with Tira and Cindy sooner rather than later, get a draft to the commission, and then once the consensus of the commission is done, good to go, we'll set it.
Good.
You can put your signature on.
I am happy to do so. Our next meeting is Monday, August 26th, at 7 PM, right here and on Zoom. Be here or be square. I will entertain a
I make a
motion.
motion to adjourn.
Is there a second?
Okay.
Mr. Robin,
Very much.
this meeting is adjourned at 8:45. Thank you, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Yes, so I haven't seen anything.